That's right. It is Flyers kind of after dark hockey. It's kind of in between after late night hockey and early hockey. But it's hockey in the desert as the Flyers take on the Arizona Coyotes. Jason Martinez, Brian Smith, Chris Terrian getting you ready for this matchup. Coyotes come in having won 5 straight. Hey, Smitty, real quick, lean over there and pull Tippett's jersey out of his pants. He wants to untuck that jersey. Can you untuck it from the press box?
I could almost reach it. Yeah. You guys want me to gloat about the weather yet too? Because my goodness, did we pick the right time to come out here?
No nosebleeds tonight, eh, buddy?
No, yeah. We've been told that we have to watch out for pucks where we're at.
Oh, great!
Like it's we're literally within range of a pass being tipped over the glass up to where we're at. So
good stuff.
This will be a fun night.
Yeah, great. Be safe, my friend.
Yeah. I'll
you wearing
my head on
a visor down there, Smitty?
I am not. I could move to my left a little bit and be behind the netting, but they haven't required helmets up here yet. Although it's one accident away from happening, I'm sure.
Well, you're only 2 rows from the glass, though. That's good.
Yeah, we're right there. So you can't complain about not being able to see the numbers in this building. That's for sure.
Yeah, you can gloat about the weather all you want. I hate heat, so I'm good here.
It's only 73 today. 73 and sunny, it's all.
Yeah, it's not hot, but buddy, let me start there. Let me ask you, could you have played in a city like Arizona where it never feels like hockey weather? You're a Canadian kid. You grew up skating on the canal, for goodness sake. And the rivers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just from that standpoint, I mean, it's non-comparable. Kid growing up in Ottawa where we have the Rideau Canal and people skate all the time and there's outdoor rinks all over in every community. So, it's different when you look at a climate like Arizona. And I know, a few guys in the building, a couple broadcasters tonight were Arizona players, Fridge and Bush. And, when I go out there, it never felt like you're playing hockey. I mean, yeah, the game was played and it took place, but it was always too hot. It was 100 degrees sometimes. And it didn't have a hockey atmosphere to it. And I know the last place there at the Gila River Arena, it had a nice outdoor around it, but man, it almost felt like it was hard for the fans to get into it, even in Arizona.
Yeah, it's strange to come down here for me and see like Christmas lights up in this weather.
Yes.
Today it was only about 78, but yesterday I think it got to 91. And there's a Christmas tree in the lobby of our hotel, which is strange. But you come down here and you mentioned Bush and Fridge. They're running into people here they still know. Like there's still people working for the team that they know. So they've stuck through it here through kind of thick and thin. That
might be part of the problem.
Yeah, you may be. But you're right about the atmosphere here because I was at the last game that we played at Gila River Arena, and there were probably only about 34 or 3,500 people in there. It felt like the opera. They may not be able to pack 17,000 people in here, but they'll pack whatever they can. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the atmosphere is like in this during a game.
Yeah, I mean, it'll certainly if the fans can get on you in a small building like that. And of course, the reason we're talking about it is Arizona plays. What's the capacity in there, Brian? It's like 5,000.
Yeah, it looks like it. About 5,500, maybe something like that.
And that is an NHL rink with 5,500 seats. They've been trying to make plans in Arizona for years to try to get it right. They went on. This is now their 3rd building in the same area as Phoenix and Glendale. So it's Tempe now. So. Is there another city that can hit somewhere?
Well, there's talk of Scottsdale now. I think that's might be the latest proposal. Scottsdale, North Scottsdale, and my understanding is that's where the people are that they attract to these games is in the Scottsdale area. So maybe they'll get it. They'll get it rolling here. Well, they tried apparently, and I don't know why they didn't. Somebody came in and nixed North Scottsdale and took them to Glendale, which is. I guess nowhere near here. So it is what it is, but they're trying it and they're trying to get it going. And, this is, I think, year 2 of, I don't know, who knows how long at this point. They were going to say 3, but, they don't even have they don't have a land yet. So, but, it's, I guess they're making the best of it. It is interesting though that, there's a logo on the ice, but other than that, there's no Coyotes branding in here. It's they're definitely not the primary tenant. So
one thing that is the ice size is the same, and this should be a good game tonight. Though
still
that's
200 by 85, and they're 5-0 in their last 5, so should still be a good run.
Well, that's the thing. They had to spend a lot of money. The Coyotes did to outfit the building to make it live up to NHL rules and regs, to be able to have the proper weight rooms and dressing rooms, all that stuff as well, and obviously broadcasting.
And I think you guys are aware that the Flyers locker room, the visiting locker room, is not actually in the building. You have to technically walk outside and then back in
Scottsdale
here to get in. Yeah, and they've put up a tent around the path, so you're not, I guess, theoretically outside, but you're still outside. The
team bus an option too.
We get dressed on the bus like old school, buddy.
You could get dressed on the bus, yeah. You could.
Or in your parents'
they were going to dress. They could dress at the hotel and I guess bus over here in their gear and just carry their skates
with their sneakers on and their pants and shin pads.
Yeah, you remember that.
No showers after, just go back the same way.
The olden days.
Yeah, that's the way. Sitting in the car in your hot and your smelly gear after a game.
Your parents wouldn't let you shower because it would take too long. Just go hurry up, you gotta get home.
Exactly. Well, I found out what it was like to not get out of the equipment quick enough. My dad left me at the rink. Taking too long? I'm going to leave you here. You're going to be here for a couple extra hours. Good luck.
I like that.
Wow.
I was never late getting out of the room again. It is the Flyers and Coyotes tonight from out in Arizona, and the Flyers trying to keep this going. They got a couple of extra time wins over the Pittsburgh Penguins, but they're facing a team tonight, like Bryce said, in Arizona. I mean, they haven't had a lot of recent history organizationally. But they are a team that's being talked about a fair amount right now. And it's because they've won 5 straight, and they haven't beaten exactly schlubs here. They've beaten some pretty darn good. Vegas they beat. Colorado they beat in this 5-game. Tampa's not been that great, but then St. Louis. And their last game, they beat the brakes off of Washington 6-0. So they're looking to wrap up their homestand with a big win tonight, Bundy.
You know who they remind me of? The Philadelphia Flyers of the West. No, I mean, if you look at their records last year, guys, and then look at their numbers, like in terms of their climb this year to respectability in terms of where they are in the standings, they're both playoff teams right now. Nobody had really any kind of expectation again for them. I mean, Arizona, no one talks about them. Flyers, everybody wants to talk about them, and they want to see a good product. It's good for the league when a team like the Flyers is good. And they've both been surprises. They really have. I mean, the Flyers have played really well of late. They've had a lot of different guys step up in different games. Forster's been great. We waited for him for 20 games. He's kind of reared his head. But, Arizona's got guys like that too. And I think it's kind of fun to watch, teams that maybe you didn't think were going to be there that are starting to maybe show some of their talent. And they're a pretty well-balanced team too, the Coyotes. They don't have anybody up in the top of scoring. Clayton Keller's had a good year, good start again. But after that, that's it. And so they're doing it collectively as a team and probably in a lot of ways trying to change the culture. They don't have a lot going there in Arizona, right? It's a tough place to draw free agents. They have to probably do a lot through the draft and developing kids. Because of the rink and the situation they're in right there. So, they play well, and they're a team that's really playing good in that arena right now. And with the Flyers playing well, I mean, who would have thought we'd have said Arizona and the Flyers would be really going to be a great game in early December? And here we are, expecting a good hockey game tonight.
Bundy, I asked Torch something today. I'll ask you the same question because he's been talking about how the locker room has been quote unquote fixed. When he got here, that's one of the first things he's talking about, that the locker room needed to change. And I asked him what, how that manifests itself on the ice. And I guess I was going to ask you the same thing too. Like on teams that you were on that were tight and, it was a good room, what was better on the ice than, teams that weren't quite so close?
Yeah, I've been on teams that just loved each other. The 2000 team comes to mind that I think with we deserved a better fate than we had that playoff run. But that's a group of guys that would have just killed for one another and gone through a wall for each other. And I played on other teams where it maybe wasn't quite the same. But when you develop a bond and you have that brotherhood in the locker room and you take that out onto the ice, it's nice to know guys have your back off the ice, and it's certainly nice to know that you're playing hard for each other on the ice. So they've accomplished a lot. I think Torts' message has gotten through. I don't always agree with the messaging, how he does it, but guys have started to, heed what he's trying to get through and to, that he's been preaching for a couple of years. And I think that message sometimes takes time. The other thing too, guys, you can't really, when you look at a team like this year, how important veteran leadership is, and get a guy like Coots back in, Mark Stahl. I mean, he's been around the league a long time, played for Torts, Cam Atkinson, I know his play's not really resembled that leadership of late, but it's always good to have veteran guys who calm down the room. And I don't think we had a whole lot of that for a couple of years prior to this.
And Bundy, real quick, before we get to our first break, Ellie Freeman reported that, there's some trade talks that Toronto's interested in a right-handed D and one with a little bit of snarl to his game.
Mm-hmm.
Rasmus Ristolainen's name was brought up in that trade talk, as was, not that he has a lot of snarl in his game, Sean Walker. And Ellie Freeman said, why would Philadelphia make a move right now and send a stink bomb into the dressing room? And, what? Because there's a lot of veteran guys. You finally got the room right, and you're going to go really early on what would be likely more, closely resembling a deadline deal. It doesn't make sense right now. Plus, Keith Jones and Danny Briere managed really quickly here to gain some hand in these kind of negotiations.
Yeah, they seem to like to get, in terms of, talking a little bit, and apparently, I don't know if it's happening. I know that Toronto's definitely interested in him.
Yeah, they're circling.
Yeah, they've been going around like the sharks in the water a little bit, looking, and again, they throw a name out because they look at the contract situation. And Toronto's been looking for 2D for like 8 years now. And every time they think they have one, it doesn't work out, so they go looking at the next one again.
Well, they signed a Giordano who's 100, and then they signed Klingberg who's 100, and neither guy was the answer there anyway.
Yeah, and so I understand the snarl for the playoff type of battles you're going to get. I think Risto, you know what you're going to get from him, pretty much. I mean, he is what he is at this point. I'm not saying to wait on a trade. It just depends if somebody's going to overpay you and it's an overpay, then I think you got to make that deal whenever that deal is presented to you. I don't. If you're going to wait around till the deadline for things to get richer for Risto and you've got a good deal on the table now or coming up, I wouldn't wait on something like that. I mean, you can do an awful lot if they don't give you back the $5.5 million. I don't know right now what Toronto's cap space looks like, but there's a lot involved that goes into a mid-season trade like that, more than you
think. There usually isn't very
much
there.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Klingberg went on LTIR. He's done for the year, so they get that $4.5 million right away.
Okay, there you go, Jason. Yeah,
and they do want a guy with some term, and Ristolainen at $5 million has the cost certainty for the couple of years. Because Tanev is a guy they looked at, but they would have to extend him, and there's things you got to figure out there. And Risto's got 2 years beyond this one as part of that equation. So they do have some money to play with because of the LTIR situation. Let's take our first break. It is Flyers and Arizona Coyotes. We'll come back, get you ready for this game. Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoruk will be along at the top of the hour with the countdown to face-off and all the first period action. But we're back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Tell Bundy to unmute his mic on the stream. And we're back live as the Philadelphia Flyers get set to take on the Arizona Coyotes. as the Flyers have 3 on the road here. It's Arizona, then they're going to head to Colorado, and then they'll wrap up this 3-game stint down in Nashville. Pretty varied trip here, but 3 teams from the Central Division. And Arizona sitting in that 4th spot right now at 28 points, a record of 13-9-2, 6-3-1 in their last 10, plus 14 in goal differential. Like I mentioned, they have won 5 straight. Bundy, this team, and they got a guy you mentioned in Clayton Keller, who's probably their most prolific offensive weapon, but they also have a guy in Nick Schmaltz. Now, I was looking at Nick Schmaltz's numbers last night. He's got 9 goals, 11 assists. He leads them in goals for 20 points on the season, 5 power play goals, 5 power play assists. They have a pretty good power play. But he's a guy that has a shooting percentage at 17%, and that's not an outlier for him. He's actually finished some seasons where he's played north of 65 games and had a higher than 17% shooting percentage. What do you want to do against a guy like that when you know that he's obviously, if he gets shots off, he's got a real good chance of scoring because he's not a volume shooter, but he's a very lethal scorer?
Yeah, and I'm sure it's in and around the tight scoring positions, top of the circles, inside the hash marks if those pucks come. So, yeah, he's a guy, like, you know, it's funny. I thought he was really developing a little better than he was to this point, but he's consistent. You know, he has, and you're right by talking about those stats. Like, he's pretty consistent. So is Keller. You know, they both are about 20 minutes a night on ice, each guy, so those forwards. So if you're those Flyers D tonight, you got to try to wear those guys out. They're not super big guys. And I really think that you gotta kind of work them hard when they come in the zone and eliminate their chances. The one thing when you do look at Arizona's lineup, I mean, they have another guy with Lawson Krause. I'm sorry. And this guy, he's got 10 goals, and the other guy's Logan Cooley. Two tough names right there, Smitty, off the top of your head. But
Western League probably.
Yes, for sure. But when you got guys like that can score 10 goals for Krause, in 23 games. So he's another guy, 16 and a half minutes of ice time a night. So you got guys that, again, and they kind of spread the wealth. When you go up and down Arizona's lineup, top heavy a little bit, but then you can see a little bit of a trickle down. And so they do have a wealth of spread out scoring on this hockey team.
I guess I'll break some news that appears to have been on Twitter, I think. I know we were watching warm-ups here, and Ryan Poehling was absent. Uli Lixell did take warm-ups, so the suspicion is that Poehling might be under the weather. I don't know, but it appears that
thought it was good weather, Smitty. Make up your mind.
Season. He's under his own weather. It's not very difficult to be under this weather because it's very, very good. But yeah, we'll see. I that would be obviously a late change. We didn't expect any changes to the forward lines today, but that is what it is. But
that's
Bundy, I guess.
Hold on, real quick on that because
go ahead.
You lose a center, so I guess Lawton then would move back into the middle. Was Lawton running middle on the line rushes?
You know what? I didn't see where he was. We were just trying to figure out where Poehling was. We spent so much time watching it, but I'm sure we'll get those lines here in just a minute from folks that were paying attention to see. It's actually kind of hard to see the far end of the ice from where I'm at. We're going to get a great view of the end where the Flyers shoot twice, but the other end is a little bit difficult to pick up on. The other interesting thing about this building is it's dark in the corners. It's like the old Spectrum or the old MSG lighting was like this, where there's some shadows in the corners, and I wonder if that's a concern at all for visiting goalies, because there's definitely shadows in there that we're not used to seeing. I don't know. I don't know.
It's like playing a Winter Classic inside.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Well, maybe everybody can just turn on their cell phone and light that up in that small barn.
Just shine it down in there, right? Yeah. So
I knew this would happen. I just knew.
I can't help it, Bundy.
You know what this is called? A barn burner.
Literally.
Well, the one thing they do have here for some reason is an excessive amount of fire extinguishers. There's literally a fire extinguisher every 6 feet here. Like, it's so bad you actually notice it. So they try to avoid
dry.
Yeah.
Lixell coming in, if that is indeed what happens, it looks to be the case. He's played 8 NHL games last season. He's got no goals, 1 assist in those 8 games. With Lehigh Valley, though, this year, in 21 games, he's got 12 goals and 7 assists. And he's been really prolific for that team this year. Last year, in 53 games in the AHL, he had 14 goals, 31 assists for 45 points. And I know he really peeled towards eyes back a little bit in camp last year, but he looked a little overwhelmed in those 8 games he played for the Flyers. But huge opportunity if that's the case for him, Bundy.
And you know what, Jason? There's room for guys like this in the league. Again, I don't know what he's going to be like in the NHL. He's got 1 assist in 8 games. So this will give you an example of what his development has looked like over the year, or certainly the beginning of this year. There's a lot of minor leaguers that would have stayed in the minors, but they're playing in the NHL all the time. Just the quality has gone down. So because there's too many players, there's just too many bodies out there in every single league. So a guy like this, if he comes up and makes his mark and does his job, they'll find a home for him. If it ain't here, it'll be somewhere else. So that's what I always tell young guys, like, never give up. When you get that opportunity, take full advantage of it. And when you go back to the minors, if you do, don't ever give up. Never give up, because you know what? That's where they want to see you go through the bus rides and dealing with late nights and tough road trips, and see what you're made of, see what your fortitude is. And so a lot of that, I'm looking forward to seeing him tonight. If it is him that's in, if Lixell's the guy that's in, but I'd like to see, I don't see a lot of him. I don't watch a lot of Phantoms games, but I certainly am interested in seeing tonight, how he looks from a development standpoint in over a year.
I wanted to drift through. Oh, go ahead, Jay. I'll get on the flip side.
Yeah. So tease what you're going to do on the flip side first. Okay. Do a good old radio tease here.
Oh, teased it. I thought you said keys. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, when we get back, I just wanted to touch on Ristolainen and the room thing again, because you can always take a guy and trade him or whatever, but it's like, what does that do to the room? And that's not really the Flyers' concern right now, but I guess we'll discuss how that might affect the team in general when we get back.
Yep, and also how to avoid a letdown. Bundy will give his response on that as well.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Flyers Coyotes at the top of the hour. We're back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
Copy that.
We are back live as the Philadelphia Flyers get set to take on the Arizona Coyotes. What was the point you wanted to make regarding Risto?
Well, I guess I just going to loop back there real quick, because you've seen before how maybe taking a player out or even introducing a player into a room that's got a good mix can sometimes disrupt things, and that's not the Flyers' concern right now. Right now, they're focused on the future. They're not worried about what disrupting a room might do to this particular season if a Ristolainen trade were to go down. But I was just curious of Bundy's perspective on how that can affect a room, whether it's a guy coming in or a guy going out in terms of the chemistry on the team.
It's always about the team and always about the crest. The guy goes out, we wish him well. A player that comes in, welcome to the team. Here's how we do our business, and you do that on the ice. No one calls anyone in and says, here's what you do. You expect the guy that's been traded, that they've done a pretty deep dive on his character, who he is as a player, as a person. And so especially in a place like Philadelphia, we've been notorious for having pretty good guys come in here, good quality character guys. And that means a lot, over time. So, I mean, again, I'm with you there, Smitty. I'm not I'm not worried about a guy like Risto getting traded. I mean, that's part of the deal. You sign a
Right.
big contract like that, and people are out for your job. People coming from behind, looking for that. So if Flyers can make some moves like that, those aren't things you have to worry about right now. This is a rebuild still, right? Like that's what we said. They've had a great start, but winning some games in November and December is awesome. But it's a long way from finding a way to win 4 out of 7 in April.
Right.
And that's what this journey is all about, right? This is why everybody's buying in for down the road. It's not now. We could win a great game tonight. By the way, I think the Flyers win 3-1 tonight. That's my prediction. Really, that's a little off. I mean, I'm giving Arizona 1 goal after they've been on a scoring flurry. Yeah. I'm going to say Carter Hart bets it tonight. Low scoring game is my prediction. I may be dead wrong, but I do like the Flyers. And I know we're talking about the first game of a road trip we're talking about, like going out on 3 J's, Nashville, or that is the third, Colorado next. The first one's always the most important on the road. And,
that's the tone, doesn't it?
Of course, you feel good. Hey, we go to Colorado, we got 2 points. You feel a little bit more loose, a little bit more, ready, willing, and able to play because you got the 2 points banked. I'm not going to lie. I didn't want to go to Colorado first if this were the Flyers. And I'd rather start it in Arizona. It's the most likely team, the way the Flyers are playing, to go get a win. Because Colorado, teams are going to start taking the Flyers seriously. They're going to start getting top goaltenders. They're going to start getting better efforts from teams. So that's what the other thing that they're going to be dealing with as well is the end as we wind down to the second half. A lot of good stuff. I mean, it's what you want. It's what you want for your development. So everybody, you go play a team, and they don't treat you like the little brother. Everyone knows they're going to roll over and get 2 points from. That's not how it's been so far this year. That's not how it's been at all. And I expect the Flyers to push hard every night.
Jason, we have confirmed that it's an illness for Ryan Poehling, so he is out, and Ole Lycksell is in tonight.
All right, so Lycksell will get his first game of this season, his 9th of his NHL career. Bundy, so you're predicting a 3-1 win, and you'd rather have Arizona. I agree with you. You look at who you got to take on if you're going between Arizona and Colorado. You want to come into this trip and go, I know Arizona's won 5 straight, but I also know what Colorado is and what they got to deal with over there. McKinnon and Ranton and this big guys up front, and McCarr, obviously. But how do the Flyers avoid the letdown here? They haven't scored the first goal in some time. They've gotten away with it and actually won with it. But that's something they got to get back to doing because I think it's still a little bit part of their identity.
I think early in this game, get pucks into the Arizona zone. I know it sounds like an old adage, dump and chase, but keep the puck out of your zone. Arizona's feeling it. When you start scoring goals like that, you bang in 6 the other night against the Capitals, you're going to start feeling pretty good about your game. So on the Flyers, keep it simple. Put pressure on their D, make them make plays coming out of their zone, and take as little time and space as you can in your own zone tonight, early in the game, and then let the game settle in. But I would actually, tonight with the Flyers on the road, I would treat this first 10 minutes like it's pretty, again, Brian, you were saying, I don't know what that building's like. I've seen a couple of games on TV over the last year or so, but again, it could be nutty in there, and if you're the Flyers and you don't know the atmosphere, be prepared for the first 10 to have a really good, solid start, keep the turnovers down, and then let the game settle in after that.
I guess if there's one thing the Flyers have been good at this year, it's been road starts for the most part. As of these last few games, it's gotten away from them a little bit, but they seem to have the ability to come out and play things, to their advantage in the first period of a game. And I guess that just seems like it's a team skill, Bundy, is it not? That you've just got to come out and sometimes make it the simple thing for the first little bit before you try to dive in and make anything happen.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's a good formula for this team. You stay out of the penalty box. If you go more getting pucks in, you're starting to pressure a little bit more. So I do. I really think this is a good opportunity for the Flyers. I've loved the way they played lately. They've played hard. They've come back from being down. They've rallied late. They haven't given up. It's been exciting hockey. I think tonight will be a really, really good game against two teams that are kind of up and coming. No one knows about them. It could be a good duke out here tonight in the desert. I'm really looking forward to watching this game.
Yeah, one of the things is Arizona's got a pretty good power play. Stay out of the box. Flyers
yes,
PK.
And their goalie. Stay on him. Battle him.
Yeah, absolutely. Flyers PK has been good this season, and obviously they've gotten some work done shorthanded. But stay tuned. Tim Saunders, Tom Fedoruk, they've got the countdown to face-off. That'll be followed by all the first period action between the Flyers and Coyotes. Thank you for listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.